In those busy days, trying to push through it, when I reach a point of mental fatigue, in the past, I would just force myself to work through it. Now I recognize the fatigue. I realize the importance of listening to my body. To have something like Katalyst as an offset to my free weight training has really improved my physique. It's improved my strength. I don't feel as fragile and beat up as I was before. My name is Aaron Williamson. I'm a U.S. Marine veteran, a celebrity trainer. I do some acting and stunts and in public speaking. I was born and raised in Daytona Beach, Florida. Came from somewhat of a broken home and got into a lot of trouble as a kid, so it left me with a severe lack of direction. The Marine Corps to me was the best of the best. I found myself on the yellow footprints of Parris Island, South Carolina in 1998, only to discover that the Marine Corps would become my salvation. So along the course of my Marine Corps career, I had some special duties. I was an 0311 infantry by MOS and had some special duties as a Marine Corps body bearer and also a security specialist for General Peter Pace, who was the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. And once I left Iraq, it was time to leave when things were getting very dangerous as the transition was taking place. So I took a leap of faith to move to New Orleans to work with Marine Forces North. And I had no transition before I fell flat on my face because that job didn't really pan out. And it left me in a bad situation where I was now trying to transition to civilian life, at the same time trying to deal with a lot of demons and a lot of nightmares and just a lot of bad stuff that I had dealt with. It took everything in my power to try to find some work because I literally did not know what to do. I didn't really know anyone in the city. I'd never been to New Orleans before. And long story short is I lost everything I had and ended up living out of my car. I had to file for bankruptcy. And I was in a position where I was ready to go back overseas to where I had just come from. But friends and family, had encouraged me to do the thing that I love the most. I knew fitness was something that I really had to take advantage of because up until that point, it was something that everyone knew of me. Aaron was the fitness guy. So taking that fitness mindset, that understanding of how fitness can transform you, not only physically but mentally, I decided that I would try to compete for the regional Mr. New Orleans bodybuilding show. And to some people that might seem crazy being homeless and having nothing, but I figured out how to make it work. I slept at friends' houses, I cooked my food wherever I could cook my food, I slept at the gym, did laundry at the gym, slept in my car. I did all the things that allowed me to feel like I was moving in the right direction. And I won the Mr. New Orleans bodybuilding show. I started promoting health and fitness around the city of New Orleans. My mind started to heal a little bit. I was starting to find the light at the end of the tunnel, and it was enough hope to get me to the next chapter. So I got certified as a personal trainer, moving into this gym that was 24 hours in uptown New Orleans. And the next thing I know, I'm in the middle of the film industry. At that time, there were more films and TV shows being shot in Louisiana than anywhere else in the world. Zac Efron was the first person I worked with on the movie called The Lucky One. And I've been able to train celebrities like The Rock, Jamie Foxx, Josh Brolin, and a long list of other amazing people. So it was very, very surreal because growing up as a kid, watching a lot of these movies, seeing a lot of these, these celebrities, and all of a sudden now I'm getting calls to come train these guys and women. It's like a kind of a pinch me moment, because again, thinking back on it, I didn't know where all this was going. I just knew that I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And when I got into training some of those big names, it brought a lot of notoriety to me, which put me in the spotlight a lot more. I really wasn't prepared for it because that wasn't the direction I saw my life going in, but I just adapted the best I could, and that would ultimately lead me to acting in stunts. I found myself now in a brand new chapter doing something I would have never imagined in my entire life. 2015, my career was on the rise, and I moved to Los Angeles to sign on with some new representation and to see where I could take this career. The reason why that's so important in this aspect of the journey is because it became another therapeutic outlet for me to deal with a lot of these really twisted emotions that I was having, those sleepless nights and not really being able to communicate with people and talk about what was really going on in my head. When I first got an acting coach, I remember him and I almost getting into a fight because I lacked the ability to be vulnerable. I think a lot of that has to do with being a Marine, but once I embraced vulnerability, there was a lot of things in my life that started to change in a good way. I was able to relate to people better, and there was a therapy of it that I really enjoy, because I think we all have emotions that live inside of us that we sometimes don't know what to do with. And acting for me is a way to use a lot of those emotions to actually do something with, because you never know what kind of character you're going to be asked to play. And you can bring that character to life in a way that you think he or she should be brought to life in. And you could bring something completely different to what the director even thought about, which could, land you a big role. So it was surreal in every sense of the word. In every part of my life, it was just very surreal, because to go from one extreme to another extreme to another extreme, that was my life. So it's something I'll never forget. And then COVID hit. And as with many other people, overnight literally decimated years and years and years of hard work and sacrifice. So there was some adjustment to make, and I decided to launch my fitness business, and I have a 90-day program where I work with non-celebrities, using all the years of transforming people for TV shows and movies, primarily in the action genre. So I'm changing people's lives now in 90 days, using my knowledge and love of health and fitness, and also really sharing the mindset approach that I have to help people make their lives better. And that ultimately led me to Katalyst. I just remember leaving the first session I had with Katalyst sore and mind blown of how I could do a 20-minute workout doing 5 shoulder-specific exercises, and to walk out of there feeling sore in places that I didn't even know I had muscular contractions at. Like I didn't know those muscles were worked as deep as they were. I'm a meathead at heart. I'm a big fitness guy. I'm a big free weight guy. I don't typically venture outside of free weights other than maybe some bands. So to have something like Katalyst, where it helps me on the rehab side of some of the injuries that I have, specifically my shoulders. My shoulders are pretty fragile from some injuries that I've had over the years of Marine Corps ground and pound. But having this as an offset to my free weight training, where I can strengthen those areas that I cannot do with free weights, has really improved my physique. It's improved my strength. I don't feel as fragile and beat up as I was before. There was a point in time where I was having a lot of shoulder injuries, and since I started using Katalyst, my shoulders are so much stronger, not only in the suit, where I can progress in the suit, but also just lifting free weights. Katalyst feels so different. I've been training for over 20 years. There's just something very different between lifting a free weight and having a Katalyst suit on where that stimulation is pushing your muscle and contracting your muscle so much harder than you would be able to do with any amount of weight you can use, whether it's a machine or a cable. It's a really hard thing to explain without actually putting the suit on. As a guy with some muscle, I would say there's tremendous benefit in what you can get out of Katalyst with the more muscle you have. It's going to really change the mindset and the thought process of how you're able to feel a muscular contraction. To have the suit here where I can just throw it on every week and strengthen that area every week and really put emphasis on it every week and do it on my time, that's been the value for me in adding it into my training. So typically 2 to 3 times a week is how much I use Katalyst. I like to at least get 1 power session in a week, at least 1 strength training session in a week, and anything else on that is icing on the cake. But I really love the cardio and recovery because it just helps with my cardio and recovery from what I'm doing in the weight room. Finding something that you can immediately feel the benefit to, like Katalyst, is something that I would recommend everyone try to find in their life to really create that right environment for positive growth, whether it's physical growth, mental growth, whatever the case may be. I think over time I'll continually get stronger, I'll continually get better, and at the end of the day I'm on the quest for the most perfect physique, although I know that doesn't exist, but it's a good motivator to keep striving for. And I think the suit is pretty cool too when you put it on and take a video of it, so everyone wants to know what you're wearing. When you get in these situations in life where you face an obstacle or you're dealing with a hardship of some sort, you can be very down on yourself, you can be very negative, distracted from where you should be. Positivity, it's the same as feeding your body. When you think about health and longevity, when you think about trying to be a healthier person, you automatically think about food and exercise, but there's an aspect to it that is wrapped completely around your mindset. And I talk to my clients about this a lot. When you're going through a tough time, when you're overweight, your health is deteriorating, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to find something that lets you see that light. And at the end of the day, everything we do in life, no matter if it's fitness, work, whatever it is, everything stems from mental strength and just believing in yourself no matter what anyone says, no matter how many people get in your way, no matter how many obstacles you face. You can literally do anything you set your mind to.